Continuing coverage of Governor Bryan Jr.'s fifth State of the Territory address. Monday night, he spoke about his administration's accomplishments and about how he and the 35th legislature can continue to work together to improve the territory. He also spoke about the successful collaboration with Virgin Islands Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett to make things happen for the territory from our nation's capital. Our USVI News Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp sat down with the Congresswoman for her reaction to the governor's address.
I thought that it really gave us a clear indication of where his priorities were.
Virgin Islands Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett was one of the many in the crowd during Governor Bryan Jr.'s State of the Territory address. Bryan touted his administration's accomplishments, from raising salaries for teachers, police officers, catching up on debts, increasing tourism, federal funds going towards infrastructure, modernization projects, and more. Plaskett says a lot of the work she does in D.C. lays the groundwork for the administration and funding for the legislature.
One of the things that I think was really important with the Medicaid funding, outside of other funding, that one, along with the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit reimbursement that my office was able to work on, was that we were able to make those things permanent, right? So that also allows the local government to create objectives moving forward because they know that money is going to be there.
Bryan commended Plaskett for her work on the Virgin Islands Federal Medicaid Assistance Percentage, also known as FMAP. Bryan says low-income families' ability to access Medicaid has been hindered historically by the requirement for matching funds imposed by the federal government. Bryan thanked Plaskett and others for their work to help increase the percentage from 55% to 83% that federal government will pay, and the remaining percentage will be picked up by the local government.
That really increases the amount of individuals who have access to health care, along with the type of health care that those of us who are most vulnerable and the neediest who qualify for Medicaid are able to receive, and to do that on a permanent basis. So that means long-term preventative care can take place for so many thousands of Virgin Islanders moving forward.
He also highlighted Plaskett's work on designating St. Croix as a National Heritage Area.
That's the federal government stamping its approval on what we know St. Croix to be, an area of rich cultural, historical importance, as well as its geographic and landscape, the terrain of the island as well. And that also assists now the local government in planning how to make use of that with the funding that's going to come moving forward from the federal government each year for that designation, and how we can partner to magnify that, whether it's educationally or in tourism or in business, etc.
Bryan's boldest comments were about the island's energy situation.
I have committed to fixing the issues of WAPA within my second term. For the first time in our history, we have the resources to make our energy affordable, reliable, and renewable. Solving the energy crisis in the Virgin Islands was never really feasible until now. However, all this potential progress is jeopardized by the ongoing dispute between WAPA and Vitol, the owner of and operator of WAPA's propane terminal. No one disputes that propane is less expensive than the diesel fuel that WAPA has solely been dependent on for power production. There is also very little dispute that the decision to proceed with the project made sense at the time under the circumstances. But unfortunately, WAPA and the Public Service Commission never really came to an agreement with Vitol on the true cost of the project. And the project has essentially become an unfunded mandate of the utility. WAPA is currently in discussions with Vitol to resolve this matter amicably.
WAPA, of course, is high on my list. We've got to solve the WAPA problem. And now the governor, I think, has the resources financially to be able to do that. I'm concerned when he talked about Vitol that we are not going to spend so much of this hard-earned money that's supposed to go to the people of the Virgin Islands to pay what I think are usury rates, interest rates, and just the enormous, I believe, changes that occurred in that contract, which are unconscionable, should not be paid. But we have got to solve our energy issue in the Virgin Islands, and I think this is a prime time.
Plaskett says she will continue working on getting funds to the island and making sure that the quality of life for the islanders will improve. In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp reporting for USVI News.